This is Quideo number 3. The basic question was about a string of Christmas lights that contain 20 lights. The lights are wired in a series so that if any light fails, the whole string will go dark. Each light has the probability of 0.02 of failing during a 3-year period. The lights fail independently of each other. What is the probability that the string of lights will remain bright for 3 years? So the probability of the lights remaining bright for 3 years is the probability of the lights stay lit equals 1 minus the probability that one goes out, which is equal to 1 minus 0.02 equals 0.98, and that's for one light. And then for 20 lights, it's 0.98 to the 20th power, which is equal to 0.668, which is 66.8%. So the probability that the string of lights will remain bright for 3 years is 66.8%. This is the advanced question, which was about the hand-washing behavior of adults that use public restrooms at airports. In a study conducted by the American Society of Microbiology, the results were that more than 30% of people using restrooms in New York airports, 19% of those in Miami's airport, and 27% of air travelers in Chicago aren't stopping to wash their hands. It observed 7,541 people in public washrooms in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Dallas, Miami, and Toronto. And the results were then generalized to people who use public restrooms. For A, what is the population of interest? The population of interest is all Americans who travel through U.S. airports. For B, was the sample selected in a reasonable way? No, the sample was not selected in a reasonable way because Toronto is not in the U.S., so therefore it is not a U.S. airport. And the sample size of 7,541 is less than 10% of the population. Millions of people pass through U.S. airports every day. For C, is the sample likely to be representative of the population of interest? No, because 7,541 is less than 10% of the entire population, and the survey was observed just in airports and not all public places, so the generalization to people who just use public restrooms is not correct. And then for D, obvious bias in the study is undercoverage bias because some people who use other public restrooms and other public places may not fly when they travel or have any need to use the restroom at an airport. The AP question was about the quality of food at a certain university in the dining hall. Some students were complaining about the quality of food served there, and the dining hall manager decided to do a survey to estimate the proportion of students living in the dorms who think that the quality of food should be improved. And the manager asked the first 100 students entering the dining hall to answer the following question. Many students believe that the food served in the dining hall needs improvement. Do you think that the quality of food served here needs improvement, even though that would increase the cost of the meal plan? And the choices were yes, no, or no opinion. For A, in this setting, explain how bias may have been introduced based on the way this convenient sample was selected, and suggest how the sample could have been selected differently to avoid that bias. Students who arrive early to the dining hall may have different opinions about the food quality than students who dine later, which produces a biased sample. This bias could be avoided by taking a random sample of all of the dorm residents at the university. For B, in this setting, explain how bias may have been introduced based on the way the question was worded, and suggest how it could have been worded differently to avoid that bias. The phrase that the food needing improvement may influence more students to respond that the food does need improvement. An increased cost may also influence students to answer insincerely. They may say the food is okay just so that they don't end up having to pay more. Some better wording is, do you feel that the quality of food offered needs improvement?